The Sofia Gray Show.
Hello, listeners and kinky friends. Welcome back to the Sofia Gray Show, where we discuss all things sex, kinks, and fetishes. From the sex stories to the latest trends in the erotic world, we talk taboo transparently. This podcast is brought to you by Sofia Gray, the largest used underwear marketplace. I'm Lacey Bloom.
And I'm Tracy Bust.
And today we're discussing one of my favorite topics, sex toys. Ooh, Tracy, what do you look for in a sex toy?
What I look for is something that can take care of as many services as possible. So I have to say I'm really into a rabbit. I mean, I know that is maybe makes me the basic bitch of sex toys because every woman I think likes
like to
a
think
rabbit.
of it more as classic. Like if it's not broke, like why fix it sort of thing.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I love my rabbit so much, but I'm also into G-spot ticklers now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I do like those.
How about are you a fan of using toys with partners?
I am, yeah. I actually prefer it, to be honest with you.
I do too. I feel like it's a great opportunity to, as a heterosexual woman speaking, to experiment with toys that I might not use with myself that I can use with men that I partner with.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was very nervous, but once I got over that hurdle of yeah, you can totally use sex toys with a partner.
Right.
Because there is this stigma of I can only use it alone, or I'm supposed to feel pleasure without a sex toy if I'm with another person. And it's
so
no,
true.
It's not.
Yeah, it's so true that there's absolutely this stigma that people have created where, originally it was that sex toys were just taboo in general. And I feel like we've definitely changed that, and that sex toys have become much more popular and mainstream. However, I do think that there is this stigma attached to it that that's something that you are meant to enjoy alone when you're not with a partner. But one of my favorite things about sex toys is the versatility of them in that you can use them with a partner. You can use them by yourself and, do a little bit of everything. Yeah. So I'm with you. Well, I could talk sex toys all day, but for the sake of keeping things quick and tidy, today Tracy and I are going to be sharing our picks for the top 11 sex toys you need to add to your collection immediately. Chances are, if you're kinky, you probably already own a few sex toys, and to be honest, can you ever have too many?
No.
I don't think so. What I love most about toys is that they can help you get through the nights alone when you're single, but they are also made for couple play with partners. I thought this was really interesting that I read a recent study where about half of American women said that they owned a vibrator. And I'm just going to go ahead and call bullshit on that right now.
I am too. Yeah, I was very surprised.
That seems very low. I'm assuming that there's probably of the other half that said they do not own a vibrator.
They own a dildo.
Either that or they're too embarrassed to admit it.
I think that's a possibility. We're still, I think there are a lot of people who are still behind, or I don't want to say behind, that kind of, because I don't want to feel like people should be pressured.
Right.
There are some people who still probably have the mindset that, this is something that I cannot share with other people.
Yeah, exactly. Not that they don't own a toy, but that they're not necessarily willing to talk about it or share that information.
Or masturbating in general.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a really interesting thing to mention too, because I feel like when you're growing up, most kids get the sex talk from their parents, but I never had a masturbation talk with my parents. No. That was, I feel like, such a self-discovery that wasn't something that I discussed with my parents, and I don't see that being a discussion topic that a lot of parents are having with their children.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing because it's something that everyone should experience and be open to experiencing and know that it is something to experience, that they don't just stumble upon it. It's actually something that there's a little bit more information about. But that's why we're here today. So now I am a firm believer, and I'll put the emphasis on firm, that everything is worth trying at least once. Now, some toys are best suited for vaginas, some for penises, some for anal play, and some are for couples. Trust us when we say that there's a little something for everyone. So let's get right down to our list.
Yeah.
I think we should start with the more basic toys, and then we'll move into the more kinkier toys options.
Great. I love it.
So number 1, butt plugs. Mm-hmm. I love a butt plug. And do you know why I love butt plugs? Because everybody, regardless of their gender, has a butt.
That is true. I never thought of it that way.
Isn't that the beauty of it? This is one of my favorite things about sex toys is that a lot of them, there are some that are suited specifically to people with penises or vaginas, but there are several of them that can really be used for anyone.
Yeah.
And butt plugs are one of them.
And I have to say, ladies, like, having an orgasm with a butt plug in is, like, not anything. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, it's never something you would ever think about. But then, like, when you do it, it's like, whoa. Like, it's an amazing...
Whole new level.
It's an amazing sensation. I wasn't expecting to feel as pleasurable. I was like, oh, well, it's probably going to be weird. But it wasn't. It was, like, amazing.
Well, and I assumed that butt plugs were generally more focused towards men because men, or at least people who identify as men from birth, have a prostate, which is like sometimes referred to as the P spot, like the same as the G spot for women. That's where the male P spot is. And so butt plugs and prostate massagers like are geared more towards men, but no, as a woman, I think there's definitely an experience to be had with it.
Sure. I mean, there are nerve endings there that can be stimulated and can be enjoyable.
Yeah. I think butt plugs are great to use with a partner too, because if you're wearing one and you have a vagina and you're also being penetrated, you can feel like that dual penetration, and it's something else.
And I have to say that there are a lot of like really pretty butt plugs, like the stainless steel one, or this one that I lost it when I moved, but
you lost your butt plug?
I know, I don't know where it was, but
somebody found that.
I know, well, the mover did, but I had like plenty of more. But my point is that it was like, it looked like this, it was like this diamond, so then you stick it inside of you, and then like when you're like, it looks like you have a diamond in your butt. And like I like was with this guy one time, and he like walked in, and I was just like bent over with like a diamond coming out of my butt.
It's the fanciest butthole I've ever seen.
It was a really fancy butthole.
Well, and then they have the ones with tails too, which I find so fun. I'm like, especially if you're into like furries and, you know, have some sort of animal fetish. Like, I feel like that'd be a way to go for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, butt plugs are great. They're so versatile. I would say that when it comes to picking out your first butt plug, if you haven't experienced anal play before, you probably don't want to be too adventurous to start with. I think that's kind of the general rule as far as toys go, especially toys for penetration.
Of course.
You know, don't jump into the deep end. Like, take your time, start with something small, work your way up. You know, I know that I'm a firm subscriber to the idea that it's not necessarily the size, it's how you use it.
Correct, yeah.
I think that can be applied to butt plugs as well.
And we all have different size bodies and anatomy, and we shouldn't feel any sort of pressure, you know, to purchase some sort of size that isn't yours.
Right. And same goes for materials. Some materials or sizes are going to work better for other people than they do for yourself. You know, there's silicone options, glass, stainless steel. Like Tracy mentioned, there's lots of different, you know, fun additions like jewels. One that I can recommend is the B-Vibe Novice, and it says it in the name alone that it is intended for novice anal play users. And it might not be the cheapest, but I will say that you're definitely paying for quality. But when in doubt, anytime it comes to anal play, use lube.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Most important rule of all.
And there's also special, like, anal lube. Like, there's desensitizing lube that I've recommended to a few people who, you know, if it's their first time, that has proven. So they tell me. Yeah,
exactly.
And
well, you know what?
Frankly, so I tell myself is effective.
There's also lube included in lots of anal training kits. You can actually buy an anal training kit, and they'll give you multiple sized butt plugs as well as some lube. It's a great way to, you know, introduce yourself to something new and play with a few different options at once.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, vibrating cock rings.
Sorry, I got very excited about this.
About cock rings.
Oh, I love a good cock ring.
Right? I mean, again, this is like butt plugs. I will say I love the versatility of this one because I feel like it is just as good for the person wearing it as it is for the person writing it.
Yeah, and I have to say the first time I used one, I wasn't expecting that. I was like I was expecting like it's for me. Again, I was like being, you know, a little neurotic and I was like, I'm so sorry, but I need this. It's for me.
Yeah.
And then like when you're done and the guy says, or you know, who the person you're with who has a penis says like, that was amazing.
Right.
It's such a great feeling.
Right.
It was like one of my most favorite sexual experiences.
Yeah, well, just along with the fact that I think there's this common misconception that we use toys when we're alone, I think it goes hand in hand with this idea that women are the ones that use toys and men don't use toys as often or don't, you know, appreciate using them with a partner. Mm-hmm. But this is one of those ones where for heterosexual couples especially, it's fantastic. I mean, I really like I thought of it for myself first, even though it's called a cock ring.
Right.
I thought of it for myself first because I have my most intense orgasms with a vibrator or some sort of vibration. So yeah, I was thinking of myself, but I mean, obviously a cock ring is designed to restrict blood flow in the penis, which can for sure make for longer lasting erections and more intense orgasms on both sides.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, a word of warning, you've probably seen cheap vibrating cock rings in drugstores. I know Trojan has one, but those are just intended for a few uses. They're not rechargeable, like just overall, not worth it. There's just so many better options you can get. Scooch by Screaming O. I mean, come on, it's all in the name. It lets you choose from 10 different vibration patterns to make you scream. Plus, it's rechargeable via USB. Like, how 2019 is that?
I know. And what about, how do you say this? Balesa's Halo?
Yeah.
Listen, this is what I like about it. You can use it in water.
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to say that.
I know. I mean, I love my water.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I love that
sex.
it's like shower sex can get complicated for sure, but adding in a toy like that and the fact that you can submerge it in water,
I know.
I'm like, how about a little bathtub sex?
Yeah. I mean, of course, be safe, but yes. Like,
absolutely.
Just anything that is waterproof.
Well, and speaking of waterproof, another great toy to choose from is number 3, wand vibrators. So, Tracy, you mentioned the rabbit, and I feel like when it comes to the most famous vibrator of all time, it's for sure a toss-up between the rabbit and the Hitachi magic wand.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that it's been around for so long.
Right.
It works.
Yeah, absolutely. It's simple, it's effective. I know I like using a wand during sex to stimulate my clit. It's also great for solo play. And nowadays, Hitachi has actually taken their name off of the product. It wasn't intended to be a vibrator from the very beginning. It was meant to be a back massager.
Sure.
As if any of us believe that.
Do you ever think about the amount of objects in this world that started off not intending to be a sex toy, but now is a sex toy?
You know, back massagers, cucumbers, toothbrushes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like looking around here and looking at this candle, unlit, obviously. And like, that could...
So many options.
So many, because like wax, you know, like when you're
absolutely.
having sex and someone's pouring wax on you, like we never, no, like candle inventors weren't like, oh, I'm going to invent this candle so I can get wax poured upon myself.
Right. Chocolate syrup, my friends. Whipped cream. I like a good, you know, delicious treat.
Oh,
so
yeah. Tracy Bust is really having some thoughts now, guys.
Candles and syrup.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't want to shell out the cash for the original magic wand, another cheaper but effective option is the Shibari wand. That one has 20 different strong vibrations, and it can be submerged in water.
Nice, my favorite.
I can tell already. I haven't tried this one, but I am all for the water toys.
Oh, yeah. We need to, yes.
We need to upgrade. Absolutely.
Yeah, I need to pool. It's okay. I know someone who has one. So then there's also the Teresa Bentham massager, which is a step up. It's also been getting some positive reviews.
Oh, good. Good. I always read reviews when it comes to sex toys. Like, I want to know what people like about what they're using.
Yeah. And I would say, if you do have a sex toy that you like, don't be afraid to leave a review, because you could really be helping out, another person who is shopping around and isn't sure what to buy. So yeah,
including the two of us.
Yeah, I could always use a good recommendation from anyone out there.
Yeah, well, and it's great. It makes me feel more informed to know that, like, what I'm putting into my body, the materials it's made from. A really important factor to me when it comes to toys is how to take care of them, how to wash them and store them. That's something that you want to consider. That's why I'm more of a fan of silicone toys in general, just because they are easy to keep clean and wash and everything. And I will say that another wand, I haven't tried this one yet, but I am adding this to my list, is the Lilo Smart Wand. Ooh. And the reason I'm adding it to my list is because I have dabbled in more than one Lilo product, and I have never been disappointed. Good. My Lilo vibrator I have is still, to this day, my favorite one.
Oh, good. All right. Should we move on to prostate massagers?
Yeah, absolutely. Prostate massagers. I mean, can we just put this out here right now that all men should try prostate play?
Sure. Yeah.
They should. I mean, all women. Well, I don't want to say all women, because I will say women who don't have sex with men probably won't experience prostate play. But I think as a woman who does have sex with men, it's just as exciting for me to stimulate someone's prostate as it is for them to be stimulated.
Yeah, I mean, I think the message behind this is that there's still like this like really depressing and sad closeted homophobia going on with prostate play. And it's just like, sorry to get on my high horse a bit, but it is just like, oh, come on, really? Just play with your prostate. You're going to like it,
Absolutely. In fact, comedian Ali Wong, she does this fantastic set about having sex with men who have never played with their prostates before, and how she loves being the one to help them discover their prostate. And I can totally understand that. Like, the last guy I was with, we just, we didn't use a massager or anything, but just using my fingers, I could stimulate his prostate or his, P spot. And it was, I mean, just the look on his face of like having this discovery was like the hottest thing ever. That, I mean, there's no feeling like that. So it's exciting.
And of course, do whatever you're comfortable with. This isn't, know, but I think what we're saying is like, there's no shame in wanting to have your prostate played with.
Or at least, give it a shot. Like, why not? And the beauty of it is if it's something that, we've talked about solo play on the podcast before. If having your prostate massaged is something that you're maybe interested in, but you're not ready to share that with a partner, or it's just something you want to explore by yourself first. I know that a lot of things that I've made discoveries about with myself are things that I've worked on by myself before sharing with a partner. So it's absolutely fine. You can use prostate massagers for masturbation. You can even have a prostate orgasm without touching your dick at all.
Isn't that incredible?
That's amazing. Yeah. That's so incredible to think about. And then once you kind of get the hang of it, or you decide that you're more interested, you can put it into play during sex or oral sex for a little extra fun. So again, so much versatility. A traditional option as far as prostate massagers go is the Anaros MGX stimulator. I thought this was really interesting. It was actually first conceived as a medical device. So, I mean, what that tells me is that it's definitely safe to use and surprisingly relatively cheap too.
Yeah. Well, vibrators were started as a medical device. Yeah. Well, I mean, doctors knew.
Oh, yeah. They knew. Yeah. They knew. They didn't want to admit that they knew, but they knew.
Right. But back to prostate massagers. Adam and Eve has a vibrating prostate massager that has been getting some good reviews.
Yeah. And then again, Lilo.
Your fave.
My girl Lilo coming in. Lilo's Hugo is a hands-free option. It has a wireless remote. We'll talk about remote vibrators a little later on, but I kind of think of this as more of like the remote vibrator option as far as prostates go. So So anything that places a little more power into the hands of your partner can be exciting if, again, that is a kink that you're into.
Sure.
Now, we've mentioned butt plugs, but dildos, I feel like, go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dildos go way back. Dildos were way back before vibrators, which is like during ancient times.
Right. It's insane. Well, and everyone, again, has at least one hole that they can put a dildo into.
Of course. Some of us have multiple
holes. I know. Multiple holes, multiple dildos.
So yeah, there's an assortment of dildos. They come in all shapes and sizes. Like, they're crazy ones. You can get one that looks like an Eiffel Tower or Buddha or like an ear of corn.
Absolutely.
What's the craziest dildo you have either used or seen?
Okay, so the craziest one I've seen, I mean, I feel like, and this is something for everybody to keep in mind when dildo shopping, is it's not the length of dildos that alarms me, it's the girth.
Oh, yeah.
And so I will say that I have seen some that are extremely wide in girth, that just to the point that makes me wonder who that's for. Like, because I know my body, and I know that is much too wide for my body to take. However, whoever can take that, all the power to you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's something you probably need to work your way up towards. But there was one I saw that was a Virgin Mary statue vibrator.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, listen, if it turns someone on, who am I to judge?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The irony.
I know.
I will say, what I do love about dildos as opposed to vibrators, and that's not to say, I mean, there are dildos that also vibrate. My favorite, personally. I think you're taking the best of both worlds.
Sure.
But when it comes to dildos, one of the things I love is that they can be super fun and crazy colors and, like you said, shaped like the Eiffel Tower or Buddha. But at the same time, they can also be extremely realistic.
Right.
Like the Ultra Skin Perfect D line comes in tons of colors, has different lengths and girths, and they're realistic skin colors. So it's a great example of representation in sex toys that I feel like is never discussed.
Of course, yeah.
I happen to prefer dildos for solo play and butt plugs with a partner.
Okay.
That's not to say that you couldn't use both at the same time, but when I think about dildos for solo play, I'm a fan of the ones with suction cups.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love those. In fact, there's one on Amazon by Paloqueth, and it's only $12. It has a suction cup, and it comes with lube. I'm like, that is the perfect starter kit for anybody.
Oh, sure. And then I think we should talk about jelly dildos for a second. I will say this. So watch out for those. The material is not body safe and should never be used internally.
Yeah.
I can tell you from experience. I did get a UTI from using a jelly dildo. I had no idea. I was so young.
You probably got it on like Groupon.
Yeah, I got it like I think I got it. You know what? I think I got it at like this like sex toy shop where like it was just like a corner sex toy shop. Every other sex toy shop I've been to has been wonderful.
Right.
But I wasn't cleaning it properly, and oh god, it was the first UTI I ever got. It was very painful.
Cranberry juice.
Cranberry juice. I did Teladoc, got some antibiotics, and
well, good. I mean, this is
like
great advice. For people to now avoid buying jelly dildos, so they don't have to experience UTIs.
Right. Yeah. And but that goes to show, make sure you wash using antibacterial soap, and also, definitely keep in mind material. You don't want to learn that the materials are bad too late, like this one over here did.
Exactly. And if you're thinking like, oh, I bought a jelly dildo, there's so many other options that, jelly dildos are not going to be, the buy all end all. Like silicone, again, is my go-to. I find it like more realistic. So that's why I like it. But there's glass, there's steel dildos. There's also curved dildos, perfect for hitting the G spot or P spot. There's double-ended dildos if you and your partner want to be penetrated simultaneously.
I think glass dildos are wonderful.
Yes.
They're just like the unsung hero. Like
they totally are.
Because it's just like, it feels like, honestly, it feels like you're being fucked by an angel.
Yeah. And who doesn't want that feeling?
You know, it really spoils you when the angel... I named my glass dildo Angel.
Oh, God. I actually just got my first glass dildo at a bachelorette party recently.
Fun.
So I'm going to have to break that out, give her a go, and name her.
Yeah, text me when you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. But I can't take Angel because you already...
It's fine. Angel is a common name.
Angel's for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk more kinkier toy options because... You know, all the ones we've talked about so far, I feel like are a great introduction to the toy world. And then the following ones get a little more into the kinkier side. So let's start with restraints. Even if you're not super into BDSM, incorporating some parts of it into your sex life can be really hot. And I think one of the tamest and also easiest BDSM practices is restraints. Now, do you prefer restraining someone or being restrained, Tracy?
I prefer being restrained.
Me too.
That in mind, though, I do tend to switch, and I do enjoy it, but I feel like my carnal desire is being restrained.
It's so interesting too, because when I first experimented with restraints, I thought... I have a more alpha personality, and so I assumed that I would be really interested in restraining somebody in the bedroom, but I found that I enjoyed being restrained more, and I think it goes along with, you know, this whole idea of having a lot of power outside the bedroom and then kind of want to relinquishing power a little bit once you get inside. Now, that's not to say that there aren't other places that I like to dominate in the bedroom, but... yeah, I will say that I did like being restrained too. Now, probably the most well-known and widely used type of restraint are handcuffs. I feel like, again, it's a very easy introduction. You can get a basic pair of handcuffs at any sex shop. You can get a fun pair that's fuzzy pink. Who doesn't want that? And they're very safe. They are safe options, but that's generally not what BDSM practitioners use. So a more comfortable option that I've used and I really like are Velcro restraints.
Yeah, I like Velcro restraints. I like basic black, which is leather. I am a natural redhead and I bruise easily. And so using... And I don't like it when I am, you know, being restrained or you know, probably getting a little kinkier and having some sort of like bruise or bite mark being shown. I, you know, really like, I want like normal clothing to be able to cover some markings. And so using a basic black, I think just, it doesn't leave markings that like last as long as like for me as like a handcuff would.
Well, and the beauty of basic black and Velcro options are that they kind of give you the option of you can escape them, like not easily, but I feel a little reassured knowing that if like things got a little too tricky or something, that I could release myself from the handcuffs. Now, for some people that might not be what you're looking for. That might spoil the fantasy. So if you want to take things, you know, to the next level, under the bed restraint systems would probably be the next step up. I don't think I've made it to this step yet, probably because I move so much. I feel like, you know, that's something that I need to commit to a home and a bed before I can commit to the under the bed restraint systems.
Yeah, I mean, usually I'm going to someone else's house, so I always forget to bring my restraint systems.
Right, I want to take them to go.
Yeah.
So,
but I want to try them. I do want to try them.
Well, and under the bed restraint systems include cuffs. They let you have your system installed for easy use. It's good for securing and spreading out the person's limbs. So I think that's pretty cool. And you know what? There's even a cheap version of them on Amazon. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, if you're wondering where to buy these materials and you don't want to go to a sex shop, like you can absolutely order online. Amazon.com is your best friend.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
My one piece of advice is make sure you don't go too DIY when it comes to restraints. Like, I know that I've mentioned in previous podcasts that I'm a fan of DIY when it comes to sex, in that there are things that you can use at home, like candles and you know, again, chocolate syrup, syrup and candles. But when it comes to restraints, the safer and the more secure, the better. You don't want to just whip out the old rope that you have in the shed.
Yeah, no zip ties. Well, if you want to use zip ties, but, you know, don't think that zip ties are...
Right. I mean, it's just to say that there are toys that have been created for this specific purpose that would be better suited as opposed to creating them yourself.
Yeah, especially since you're in such different physical, you know, positions. You know, there are so many other ways you could DIY something. Don't do that to your body.
How about flogging?
Flogging.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on floggers?
I have a very small flogger that I use. Here's my thing with flogging. I do like being flogged, but I think I like being whipped. But then what I love after being whipped is having the flog like kind of like draped over you and brushed over you after you've gotten whipped.
Right.
And I think that like if I had a preference between getting whipped hard or having a flogging just like brushed over me, I would prefer being brushed over with a flogger.
Got it. Yeah, because if you're into impact play, for me, I do like impact play, but I'm also kind of fine with just a good spanking. But then again, you know, if you do enjoy spanking, that kind of lets you know whether you and your partner are into the activity. And if you are, you might want to take things a step further with floggers. Floggers are usually the first impact toy people choose, you know, before moving on to whips or anything a little more extreme. I think people have this understanding that floggers hurt, but I don't think of it as a hurt.
No, I think the flogging for me is the sound more than the pain, if that makes any sense. I mean, the pain is wonderful. I love it. But like the, you know, like that sound, that's not the sound that it makes, but it's just like the clapping of it, if that makes any, like the clap, I think is what can excite you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It also like this anticipation of like, you know that there's this thud coming, that something's about to like zip through you. So yeah, no, impact play, it's great. It can also be dangerous. So just be sure that you're doing it safely, because if you hit the wrong part of someone's body, they can definitely get hurt. So much like with anything, just do your research and practice first. I mean, when in doubt, aim for the ass. If you do decide that you want to experience some flogging, I recommend choosing a flogger made of velvet, leather, or suede. It's kind of like Tracy mentioned. I think this softer element to it of when it drags across you afterwards, there's something to that you don't get with materials like rubber or rope. And those versions, the rubber and rope options, can cause severe cuts to the skin. It's definitely not for beginners.
Yeah, I definitely think, you know, coming from experience, if you have sensitive skin, don't push it with any sort of material that could irritate your skin. Watch out for yourself first. There are so many different options out there for you.
And just because velvet, leather, and suede are softer materials, that doesn't mean that they're not going to pack a punch. So I think you get the best of both worlds when it comes to that. Now let's talk about remote control vibrators.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Yeah, these, I think if you're interested in voyeurism, this is the way to go for you, because remote control vibrators are a great way to play in the space while in public without breaking any laws.
Sure.
And honestly, I find them sexy as hell.
A remote control vibrator, it can be worn by a woman or a person with a vagina, and there you can give the remote to your partner, and they can turn it on and off whenever they like. It's like pleasure, but you can torture them. You know, and there's something like so sexy about like going to like a really fancy dinner party, and you're like dressed to your finest, you know, and you're like mingling, and you're with your partner, and you're mingling with different people, and you catch your partner in the corner of your eye, and then you know, he or she looks at you, and then they just like hit the remote, and you have to like have like
absolutely
it's so hot.
Oh, I know. Again, it kind of ties in with that whole idea of giving up control, like relinquishing some control by giving your partner the remote. Like it's, oh God, you're right. It's the anticipation factor of seeing that person and knowing that it's coming. Well, and that you're coming, but you just don't know when. What's really cool too about remote control vibrators is that there are ones like Lovense Lush 2, which is both internal and external, and it can be controlled close range up to 45 feet. But there are also ones that can be controlled via apps, which which I find so fascinating because they can be used for long distance relationships.
Yeah, but that's fast. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Vibes is one, and Oh My Bod Esca too is similar. So there's a few options that let you control the wearable vibrator from an app, which again, I'm like, 2019, there's an app for everything. Like, here you go.
And here's what's also cool. Like, let's say that you're about to meet someone for a hookup and you know that someone is arriving. They can get you started. They can get you hot and ready on the way over with an app. You know?
Where's that dating app? Where's the dating app that connects to the vibrating, remote control vibrators?
I think, Lacey, I think we have
We're onto something.
We're onto something here.
Yeah, all right.
Should we move on to pegging gear?
We can always talk about pegging. We can always talk about pegging gear as far as I'm concerned. Because can we just talk about how pegging is like super on trend right now, which is so interesting. I feel like my first introduction to pegging in the mainstream was when I saw Deadpool a few years ago, and there's a very quick snippet of Deadpool being pegged by his girlfriend. And until then, I had only ever seen pegging in porn, and I'd never experienced it myself at that time. So I was so fascinated, first of all, that Ryan Reynolds was getting pegged, and two, how much I wanted to be the one to peg Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. I was first introduced to it many years ago. I went to a sex toy party over a decade ago. Like, all of us there were, like, introduced to what pegging is. Yeah. And it was mostly women there, and we were all just like, oh, wow, we could do that. That's so empowering.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the whole beauty of pegging is that if you don't have a dick and you want to fuck someone who does have a dick, you should try pegging.
Yes.
Like, that's... Yes. I'm a fan of reading pegging erotica. I'm a fan of pegging porn. It's easily defined as pegging is when a woman wears a strap-on and fucks a guy in the ass. So this is really open to anyone who wants to buy a strap-on. Trans men, queer women. If you're queer, you should try this one out. But especially for hetero couples, pegging can really change up the power dynamic because it makes the penetrator the penetrated.
Yeah.
And there's something so exciting about that.
Yeah. I mean, earlier we were talking about like whether we like being restrained versus restraining someone else.
Right.
Like, it is like a nice feeling to have to be in control. Like, it's the opposite. And when I first tried it, I was almost like, oh, I feel so empowered. I don't know what to do with this. But then, it felt good. It felt better than I thought.
Right. And again, that's not to say there's, this stigma attached that when men want to be stimulated in the prostate or in their ass, that, they must be gay. They must, want a dick in their ass. Like, I will say that my last boyfriend was bisexual. And so when I did peg him, I know that was something that he had experienced before with men, but I found it really hot. And it's really fun. Like, I think as a heterosexual woman, there's always this idea in my head of like, God, what would it be like to have a penis? Like, really want to know what it would be like. And this is a great way to give it a go. So now when it comes to pegging or strap-on sex, you'll need a few things. You'll need your harness and a dildo. The harness and dildos come in so many different styles. As far as harnesses are concerned, you can get them in thong style. You can get double-legged harnesses that go on either side of your ass. I haven't tried this, but Rodeo even makes harnesses that look like underwear. And they have them in unisex briefs, boxers, and panty options. Cute.
Oh, I want that.
I'm just like, that looks so cute. So I feel like I'm going to have to try that one out.
Yeah. So now for the dildos. Most harnesses have O-rings so that they're compatible with like most pegging dildos. Right. But just obviously double check. So just like any dildo, you can go basic or super extra. So you can get a dildo that's on the smaller side. Some options are ones from the Charm or Silk Large that comes in small and medium. So you can also get like a pegging package, like a pegging kit. The VacuLock Dual Density Starter Kit is a way to go. It comes with 3 dildos, a harness, and even some toy cleaner. We could always use that.
Absolutely.
So if you're okay with not choosing everything, then that is a steal.
Yeah, I'm a fan of these sort of like starter packages as far as toys are concerned, just because, again, it's like going to a restaurant and getting the appetizer sampler platter, because you know, you might like something, you might like something else, you might like it all. So, I mean, why not give it all a shot? I will say, too, that if you are interested in trying to peg without a harness, that's also an option with strapless pegging dildos. These secure into your vagina, which keeps them sturdy enough to penetrate your partner. You're also being stimulated at the same time. I will say, though, that some people do have issues with these staying in, myself included, because I just don't find it as secure as a strap-on. I mean, and it's not, because a strap-on, it is strapped to you. So, you know, maybe I just need to work on my Kegel exercises.
Oh, I'm sure you're doing a good job with those.
Now, the next one is not my personal favorite, but let's talk about sex swings.
Yes.
Because I feel like, speaking as a bigger woman, a lot of sex swings tend to be a little more weight sensitive. So this isn't a great option for myself. That's not to say that there aren't sex swings or sex slings that aren't perfect for you and your partner and your body type. But yeah, if you are kinky, you've probably considered buying a sex swing at some point or another. They're generally referenced in lots of pop culture. So they might not be accessible to everyone, but they are worth the investment in your sex life.
Okay, so there are 3 main types of sex swings. There's door swings, and sex slings.
Yes.
Okay, so door swings are, as you can probably guess, installed over a door.
Right. And that, you know, what's great about those too is that if you're renting an apartment or you want something a little more on the go, you know, pack up your sex bag and everything, you don't have to screw these into the ceiling. They don't take up a lot of room. It literally goes over a door. So, I mean, you know, the trade-off is that you don't get a lot of motion. Your motion's restricted because, you know, it's going over a door.
But you know, not everyone lives in a house, you know, and some people live on the bottom floor of an apartment and can't install a sex swing, me included.
I want that deposit back.
I know, yeah. Okay, so then you have your traditional sex swing that you have to like screw in, and it lets you be a little freaky. You can get sex swing stands if you don't want to mount it in the ceiling. It will be bulkier. You can get one at Bondage Boutique, and it's secure and can hold up to 300 pounds of weight.
Yeah, perfect. And then there's the sex sling, which people I think will be familiar with, if not by the title, by an image of a sex sling. It's a little bit more like a hammock. It's definitely the most comfortable option. If you want to use it for a long time, especially for an extended BDSM scene, a sex sling is definitely your best bet. Because best part about it is that you can do more positions in a sling than on a door swing. It doesn't maybe offer the same range of motion that a traditional sex swing does. But again, it's good for the long term investment. So the Screamer is a soft and washable option. If you want to go with the classic, the Mega Thrust is made of leather. Yeah. I feel like that's the one that most of my friends have experienced. So I will say that's the one I'd recommend.
Yeah. Makes me want to just like leave and go ride.
Yeah, absolutely. So last but not least, let's talk about nipple clamps. Oh.
You know, I can't say this enough. Nipples don't get enough attention.
It's
and I'm
true.
not just saying women's nipples. Men's nipples don't get enough attention. There are a lot of men out there who love having their nipples played with.
Well, and we have the same nerve endings, both men and women, in our nipples. Like, I think there's this idea that because most women have breasts, that we're the only ones that can play with them, or that men can play with them. But No, nipples are an erogenous zone for every gender, and they deserve to be recognized.
Yeah, recognized with nipple clamps.
Absolutely.
So what nipple clamps actually do is that they restrict blood flow to the nipples, and that can feel pleasurable and painful, and a little bit of both, which is what people like.
Yeah. I like to think of them as like a cock ring for your nipples.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. There are several different types of clamps. Tweezer clamps are the best ones for newbies since they're easier to use than some other ones.
Yes.
They look like tweezers with like rubber tips. Don't use them to tweeze. Well, tweeze your nipples. Do whatever you want. You can adjust the pressure with a small metal ring around the arms. And there's regular ones. And there are also ones that vibrate.
Yes, that's what I have. I have vibrating nipple clamps. And
nice.
I've used them for myself. I've used them on a partner. And once again, good family fun all around.
I'm so glad the family enjoys.
Yeah. Another popular style is alligator clips, and they can be more intense than the tweezers, and you adjust them using a screw in the tip. They're sometimes connected by a chain, but not always. So again, several options, several different ways to use them. If you haven't been paying your sex life the attention it deserves lately, some nipple clamps might be right up your alley. I think your partner will also thank you.
Oh, of course.
So there you have it. There are 11 new, well, maybe not new, but 11 sex toys that you should add to your collection. I know that, you know, speaking on behalf of myself and Tracy, we have a good amount of these in our own personal collections, but I know after having talked about this, there's a few that I'm planning to add to my Amazon wish list immediately.
Oh, I've been purchasing them off of Amazon as we've been talking. I'm just kidding. I've been paying attention. But you should see these nipple clamps that I got. I'm so
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, those are cute.
I know.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, guys, I am obviously very focused on this podcast, but I did just buy vibrating nipple clamps off of Amazon.
You know, money well spent.
I know.
You deserve to treat yourself.
I know, and so does everyone listening to this. We all deserve to treat ourselves because sex is fun, and expressing ourselves through in different ways is fun, and it's how we enjoy life.
Absolutely. And on that note, whether you're looking to buy or sell used panties, Sofia Gray has got you covered. If you want to earn some extra cash, you can set up your own shop in minutes and start selling your own used underwear, and they take no commission. You will keep 100% of every single sale that you make.
If you got a kink for used panties and you're looking to buy your next pair, look no further. Oh, and the whole process is completely anonymous. Sofia Gray will never share, store, or archive your personal information. The name Sofia Gray won't even appear on your bank receipt.
So head on over to sofiagray.com to start selling or buying used panties now. Until next time, I'm Lacey Bloom.
And I'm Tracy Best.
And we're here to say, let them be kinky. There's no kink shaming here.